Bit of a rough night at anchor. We were dancing around the anchor. There was huge gusts coming through this valley. I actually came into the saloon and slept most of the night there just because it was a little quieter. But now we are heading onwards down into Night Inlet. This promises to be one of the most spectacular journeys we've ever been on, really.
Look at that.
The people we've spoken to who have gone down it, Allison and James, for example, said that it rivals anything that they've ever done on a sailboat, and they've been all the way up to Alaska, to Glacier Bay. We're just about to sail deep into the mountains, and what a spectacular and improbable thing to be able to do. Tonight we are going to be anchored in a cove named Glendale. There's actually apparently a lodge. What Glendale is quite famous for is grizzly bear viewing. We won't be going on land for obvious reasons, but I'm really excited to be able to film the bears from the boat. That's my big goal, to see grizzly bears and to get properly good footage of them. We just spotted a big grizzly. If you remember when we sailed up Cove Inlet a few episodes ago, I was similarly excited about seeing grizzly bears and filming them. I am beyond stoked. All I want now is for a grizzly bear to walk onto this beach, and I will be keeping a very close lookout for one. And I was so excited when we did see the bear, but the footage that I got wasn't exactly what I wanted. It was kind of dark, and we were quite far away, and the footage was a bit shaky. So you can see the bear, but I want like Nat Geo footage of these bears. So that's the big goal for Glendale. I'm gonna try my absolute darndest to get the footage I've got in my head. So let's sail down there. It promises to be a pretty sporty downwind sail, and the scenery is just gonna keep getting bigger and bigger all around us as we move down Night Inlet.
We're on our way north. On board our Cape George Cutter 36 is my husband Aladino and myself, Maya. After a 5-year complete refit to our boat, we are finally out sailing, about to explore one of the most wild and beautiful coastlines on Earth. Join us for the Northern Voyage. We are familiar with this now. The inlet drawing us in, 8, 9 knots, speeding inwards, increasing, drawing, pulling, luring. We sail so quickly, so nicely, all perfectly downwind, ever deeper into the silent and looming mountains. It is such a easy and beautiful sail, and it nearly makes you forget that you're going to have to beat out of this to leave the inlet. When we sailed down Toba Inlet a little while ago, I remember writing in my journal that the inlets have their very own weather systems, strangely detached from the winds on the outside. When you enter an inlet, you enter a new world, one without forecasts, one where the rock cliffs, heated by the sun and cooled by the moon, make their own winds, which can howl with alarming strength.
I'm gonna try and capture some sound up at the bow. I just had a brainwave because I've been really battling wind noise, trying to capture the sound of sailing. Like, I've obviously got dead cats on the microphones, but it's not enough. And I just thought these chairs, if I sort of like go like this and then put them in front of the mics or behind the mics, depending on the wind, they might be perfect wind blocks. So I'll test that out.
Recording the sounds of these voyages has been like a really nerdy treasure hunt all summer. Trying to capture the sound happening all around us all the time on a boat is surprisingly difficult because of the problem of wind noise. The wind has really thrown me off, but I think I've finally got it. It's maybe a little improvised, but these chairs actually worked to finally capture some really good wind-free audio of sailing fast. So put on your headphones or your surround sound speakers and let's listen to this. I'm so happy. One thing that I've never really been able to capture properly in my sailing recordings, maybe until now, is the sound of the hiss as the bubbles pass by the cockpit. So as the bow cuts through the water, there's this huge, dramatic, cacophonous sound as the boat pushes the water aside. But as the newly disturbed water passes by the stern of the boat, all the thousands of little bubbles that the bow created start to pop. And as they all pop in constant unison, it makes this hiss. And I think that's really beautiful, and it's a big part of sailing.
All right, I think this was the last jibe. We're just about to round into Glendale Cove. What a sporty ride. It started out pretty mellow. I didn't expect it, but it really funneled here between the two taller mountains. And oh boy, I did not expect to see 9.5. And that was like consecutively rising. It wasn't just like a surf. We're doing nothing below 7 this whole journey. I'm sure maybe there is current of like a knot. But wow, what a dreamy sail it was altogether. I can see the lodge now in front of us, so yeah, we'll turn in, tuck in, roll in the head sail and relax, but that was so much fun.
Pretty sporty ripping in there.
Yeah, that was amazing. What a thrill. So technically we win, right?
We gotta do the adjustment for boat length, I think.
Yeah, no worries. You guys haul ass. Well, welcome to Glendale Cove.
Now, I should be really honest that we were actually a bit surprised by everything that's happening in Glendale Cove. There was nothing about it on Navionics, so I feel like I should give maybe the updated version of what visiting boaters can expect. Because even Allison and James, they came up Night Inlet in the spring before the lodge and all the tours were really in operation. Basically what's going on is this is a massive tour operation. There's a lot of boats that come in. And because of that, there's sort of rules that they've developed to try and minimize the impact to the bears themselves. Okay, so just trying to do a bunch of research to figure out sort of the dynamic of this whole area. It's a little hard to find info online. So I'm going to radio the lodge and just kind of see what the situation is. Night Inlet Lodge, this is Sailing Vessel Magic Carpet.
Go ahead for Night Inlet Lodge.
Hey, just doing some online research for grizzly bear viewing, just wondering about that.
Did someone come over to chat to you about our management plan?
No, we have not talked to anyone.
Okay, roger that. It might be a little while before we send someone over to hand you a pamphlet, but basically the rules are that you are allowed to go bear viewing. We just ask you to maintain a speed of maximum of 5 knots within the cove, and when you're traveling, always be at least 50 meters from shore, and we don't go past the grass line of the estuary, because that's a reserve.
Perfect, sounds good. We definitely can't go faster than 5 knots in our dinghy anyway. Thank you for the information.
You're very welcome, and we'll make sure to come over later today to hand you a pamphlet with some more of this information.
We found out later in the pamphlet they don't want you viewing outside of certain time frames, and they also want you to radio them before you get into your dinghy and head to the mouth of the estuary. So, in the interest of, wanting to be responsible visitors, I'm sharing this info, and I've also actually put a comment on Navionics, so now there's finally a little bit of info on Navionics for visiting boaters. Golden hour is upon us now, and these mountains are just shimmering. It's such a beautiful spot. It's also really windy. We've had some intense gusts blow through this anchorage. Fingers crossed, but it does seem to be calming down now as we head into evening, so hopefully we're not in for too restless of a night. I'm so inspired by these surroundings, and I really, I'm very torn because physically I don't actually feel very good right now. We've been sleeping pretty badly the past few nights. We spent several nights at anchor near the mouth of Night Inlet, and the wind seemed to just funnel through, swinging us around the anchor all night. So we were behind on sleep, and we hoped to get a better rest here in Glendale. We didn't get our wish that night. Bleary-eyed, another day dawned over Glendale Cove, and we kept a close eye on the estuary. Wanting something really badly can sometimes be a bad thing, and I was scared that wanting to film a grizzly so badly might just leave me disappointed. But on the other side, that desire kept me focused. If there's this whole tour operation going on out here, then there's got to be bears. Although I worried that perhaps they wouldn't actually come down to the estuary itself. The tour companies have land and trucks and bear viewing platforms all over, which aren't accessible to us. If we were to see a bear, it would have to come straight down to the water's edge. Finally, movement, at a distance, brown fur moving slowly through the estuary. This one is so great. I love this so much. It's like, what a dream setup, honestly. It's so light, has so much zoom, and is so crisp. Love this lens. It's a Tamron, by the way. I really like Tamron lenses. So I'm gonna get this, I'm gonna get my ND filter. All right, this is the moment. We're about to go. Fingers crossed, all fingers crossed. I have never seen a bear this close and for this long. Even though there were several other tour boats watching along with us, the bear seemed totally unperturbed, sure of herself, never even giving us a sideways glance. That was reassuring, both because it was good to know that all these little boats didn't seem to be disturbing her, but also because when in the presence of something so much larger and so much more powerful than yourself, it's nice to feel unnoticed, able to slip into the invisibility of our little dinghy, as the bear and her cub existed within their own world. There is something so recognizable in this moment. The mom calmly going about her business while the baby bear bounces about madly. As we watched the bear, I thought a lot about just being here, and about all the other people in the little boats who are also here. Being here made me feel a connection to these animals. I wanted them to be safe, to be left to live in peace and comfort. And then I thought, what if everyone could witness something like this in their life? If everyone could be so moved by nature, could feel the magic and the necessity of these beautiful creatures? Would humanity act differently? Would we not have to fight so hard to preserve things like this? And then in the same breath, I looked at ourselves in the dinghy and at all the other little boats with people in them, and I wondered if this was good for the bears either. We seemed so separate from these creatures, from the land itself, in our rubber boats and our high-tech outdoor gear, our cameras capturing a moment that barely feels real, even though it's perhaps the most real thing any of us have ever seen. And so all at once, I felt that it's completely and desperately important that everyone in the world see something like this. And I also felt entirely protective over the moment, that these bears should be in peace, that even we should not be there at all. Maybe this is exactly the shining example of what I'm trying to find, a balance between existing in nature and not disturbing nature. Maybe with the visiting hours and the limits on the number of boats and all the rest, maybe this is exactly how humans and nature should interact. I don't know. I don't know what's best. No one really does. I just know that this moved me, and I want more people to feel this. And I also want the bears to be left alone. And clearly, all of that at once is too much to ask. When did we become so separate from the world around us? And how can we change that? And should we change that?
That just happened.
Did you get your grizzly on camera?
Oh my god. Incredible. I could cry. This was like, I hoped for some good shots, but this is like a million times better than I dared to hope for. Oh my god. Back on the boat, just going through the footage that we just took, I still can't believe that that happened. And I also I'm at a loss for words. Like, I'm so fired up. I want to do this all the time. I love this. I love this so much. I'm so happy. And yeah, anyway, what a day. What a day. There's still a lot to learn about taking footage like this. You know, the dinghy, even though it wasn't that wavy, we were moving quite a bit. And so handheld full zoom in a moving dinghy, I did okay, and like the stabilization worked out in post-processing, but yeah, it's hard to do even slowed down. Like it was really a lot of shaking going on with the camera. And that resulted, like once I applied stabilization software, it sort of looks like the footage comes in and out of focus a little bit, which it didn't. The focus was locked off. But I think that lack of focus comes from when the stabilization software tries to smooth out like a really harsh, jerky movement, and then there's just that moment of kind of blurriness. Anyway, so maybe I need better stabilization software, or I don't fully know, but more research to do. Glendale is really only our first stop in Night Inlet, and to hear Allison and James tell it, it only gets better from here. With Glendale, the real draw, the real appeal was the bears. But as for the inlet itself, Night Inlet only grows in grandeur and beauty the further you go. And so in the next episode, we will continue down Night Inlet and get into the heart of why we came here. A huge thank you, everyone, for being here. A really big thank you to the folks whose names are now appearing on screen for always going above and beyond to make sure that Magic Carpet keeps being produced.
A really big thank you to all of our patrons for helping these episodes to be ad-free. We are so proud of the fact that we are audience funded and we don't have to pause the video to tell you about some company halfway through, and I'm really, really, really proud and happy that we get to do that, so thank you. I think you can tell we feel pretty darned lucky to be at this chapter in the process, and if you've been with us the whole journey through the refit and everything else, then perhaps you know just how much we've been waiting for this, how sweet this reward is, and to be able to visit places like this, like Glendale Cove, to see these bears in the presence of such spectacular natural beauty. I mean, wow. Now, natural beauty certainly comes with some dangers, some ruggedness, and in the next episode we're going to keep exploring some of that, facing the challenges and reaping the rewards as we sail into the saltwater alpine. Huge thank you, everyone. As always, we will see you next Friday. Bye for now.